TV gardener and chartered horticulturalist David Domoney and author of Psychology of Gardening, Professor Harriet Gross, are with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Now, David, you're the mastermind behind this new campaign, Cultivation Street. What's this campaign all about?
Well, there's so many ways that we can engage with gardening together that makes a real big difference. And of course, really, when it comes down to mental health awareness, there is a variety of different aspects of how good gardening is for mental health. And Miracle Grow put out a survey looking at different ways that people are engaging with gardening to help their mental health. And one of the alarming figures that came back was 48% of the people said they often experience loneliness, which I thought was an incredibly high number. But when you think about it, it's not just about divorces and bereavements, but, you know, after 2020, where a lot of people were working from home, where people may have changed jobs or moved house with everything that's going on and subsequent, that there are quite a few people that are lonely. And people feel loneliness in different ways, and everybody experiences loneliness different because it's so very personal. Yeah. And if you're suffering badly from it, obviously it has been associated with depression, anxiety, sleep problems and stress. So Miracle Grove launched this campaign, Friends Over the Fence, because they believe that it's the best way of meeting new friends and neighbours by breaking down the barriers. Because some people are a little bit nervous when someone comes to talk to you for the first time, whether it's a pub, it's a club, or even in the park. But over the garden fence, you know, do you get that robin in your garden? Oh, I do. Isn't it lovely? It just opens up, and because it seems like a natural gateway into talking. And the moment you start talking to a few neighbours, then that connection makes in, and the issues and the anxiety that comes with loneliness has a tendency to abate. So gardening is so very good in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's a surprise really, because maybe we sort of associate gardening as maybe a solitary hobby?
Well, in fact, in many cases, when you mentioned right at the top about Cultivation Street, one of the biggest growing areas in the country is people finding redundant spaces in their local community and converting them into a garden where the community comes together. And Cultivation Street really celebrates and supports a lot of these community gardens. And it's much more than gardening. In many cases, you know, someone brings a small gas cooker, they've got a shed and whatever, there's bacon butties on a Saturday morning, they're making soup as well from the broccoli they've grown with a bit of Stilton, and it becomes more of a social engagement for the area. And Cultivation Street and the website cultivationstreet.com have got planting guides, children's act, all for free. It's a free service with fundraising, volunteers, how you can get those, and posters and newsletters. It's a massive way of people sharing the experiences of gardening. And it's so very important to do that with children as well, grandparents, sharing sowing seeds with grandchildren. It's just so rewarding for both of them. So that interaction of sharing a passionate hobby goes a long way to help mental and physical well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. And Harriet, what do you think it specifically is about gardening itself that improves people's mental health?
Well, one of the things about it is that it's largely done outside, and doing anything outside is better for mood and for stress levels. It tends to reduce your stress levels and improve your mood. And particularly gardening has a major effect on things like stress levels, so that people outside feel more relaxed, and therefore they're able to either reflect on things that are worrying them, put those things aside and escape from them into the garden and into the garden planting and the attractions and the fascination of what's in the garden, whether that's their own garden, their neighbour's garden, or a community garden. So it's about the opportunity that being outside in touch with nature gives people to relax and focus on different things, and then be able to talk to other people about them. So yes, you say it's often about a lonely, more kind of solitary activity, but there's always something to talk about, and it gives a platform for people to stand on to say, well, I'm thinking about doing this, or do you know if there's a garden around here that I could help volunteer at, for example. People in retirement, for example, can help and do that. Across the age range, those opportunities arise. But it's also because doing gardening gives people a sense of achievement and purpose. So they feel that they're being effective. They're not just sitting back looking at the garden, which in itself is extremely pleasurable, and even short periods in greenery can have a good effect. But they're also able to produce food, as David has said, in community settings or for themselves. So they're actually getting a number of different types of benefit: reduced stress, better mood, productive activity, and that's rewarding and builds confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I suppose having a garden is almost like having your own project, isn't it? It's like a baby.
It is.
Well, and it's your own space as well. When you think about it, on this planet, that area that's on the back of that, and you don't actually have to have a garden. Let me be straight. You can garden indoors as well. The book that I wrote during lockdown particularly focused on gardening indoors with houseplants, entitled "My Houseplant Changed My Life." And within it, it engages how to engage children growing on their bedroom windowsills, what to grow in your bathroom. You can grow an awful lot on your kitchen windowsill. You can produce a lot of food on your kitchen windowsill, whether it's chilies or whether it's basil or thyme or parsley or mung beans or cress. There's a lot you can do.
Yeah. And perhaps both of you can answer this. What is your own personal experience of gardening and your mental health?
I think from my perspective, I think it's always provided that kind of escape that people talk about from the pressures of daily life.
Yeah.
So you've got a busy job or you've got a lot of things going on in your family, and it's a place that you can go, and that's true for people who don't have their own garden. There are other spaces like parks, but where you may not be able to garden, but there may be an allotment that you know of where people are and so on. But personally, it's about having that change of time to nature's time, to being focused down in the garden on the plants, on what's going on there. So time passes and you don't notice what else is going on around you, except for what's happening in nature. And that makes a real shift from the stresses and anxieties about getting things right at work or worrying about your relatives and getting the children sorted and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Well, for me, being outside, engaging with nature is almost like tapping into a superpower. I kid you not. If you're in the office and you're getting, or you're on the radio, you're interviewing people, you're in the office, you're working, or you're doing other things, you're constantly, the pressure's on, the mobile phone's going, and maybe the boss, it may be somebody at home. There's constant pressures because we're connected all the time with our phones, social media and emails and text messages and WhatsApps and everything like that. I take a moment, I leave that phone on the desk wherever I am. And if I'm at home, I'll just go to the greenhouse. It's my green break. 10, 15 minutes of doing something, then coming back again. If I'm away, I'll go for a walk. It's a car park or anywhere where there's an area where there's some plants. Enjoy that and come back, and it resets you. It makes you sharper, increases memory, and it just refreshes you. So taking a moment to step away from technology into nature has a huge restorative effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And was there anything in this research that surprised you?
Well, I suppose for me, a lot of it, 70% of people saying gardening is good for mental health. I'm pretty sure that I'm aware that a lot of people now take that as fact.
Yeah.
I was surprised at 48% of people saying they experience loneliness, and that was quite a thing when I saw this Miracle Grow research. And I'm really pleased that the focus is to use gardening to help those people who are experiencing loneliness and to get them out of that difficulty, I think is a very worthwhile campaign, which is why I like this Friends Over the Fence. And of course, if anybody's listening that is in a position where they have got a new area and they don't know anyone, listen, get to that website, lovethegarden.com, and get your free wellbeing journal and the seeds and the conversation starters, and let that be part of the journey to get out and meet new friends and enjoy life to the full.
Yeah, absolutely. And I take it, is that the same place where we can find out all the information?
Yes, lovethegarden.com is where you can find all the information. If you're looking at community gardening as well, go to cultivationstreet.com. Both of those websites are absolutely packed with lots of free and helpful information. And if you want to see more gardening activities and things, you can log into any of my social media. I'm on all the platforms at David Domoney. And I'm also doing some Facebook Lives with Miracle Grow and showing different ways of gardening and engaging with plants for mental and physical well-being.
Great. Well, many thanks to both of you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been nice talking to you.